Hello, Something Guys and Gals. This is Something Guy 912 back with the fourth episode of this little series I call Odd Architecture, where I scrutinize and nitpick the architectural inconsistencies of video game maps in relation to how realistic they would be. Following up from D1 Train Station 03 is 04, where we scale some rooftops, get briefly apprehended, and are introduced to Alyx. This will also be the last of the series for some time, as after this video gets uploaded, I will be fast at hand to working on what will be my analysis of the Borderlands movie that is due to come out, as I am not only confident that movie is going to be a steaming pile of garbage, but that with me being as prone as I am to cover anything Borderlands related, it would be uncharacteristic of me not to. With that out of the way, let's investigate. Alright, and now we are in game. Just a quick disclaimer. Now, while I said in the last video that I would have to be enabling no target on myself, I will have to disable that briefly so I can not break the apprehension sequence with the CP officers in this section of the map. As far as I'm aware anyway, it's going to break that sequence. At least I'm not going to dare try to see if that's going to be the case. So, for now we'll enable it, because these Combine officers are going to shoot at me endlessly. Now, starting off with this shady little, like, roof balcony thing, it seems pretty cohesive for the most part. I don't think there's anything, like, out of the ordinary here. Like I said, just, once again, more of that, like, post-Soviet kind of design to it, the roughness of it all, and the unkeptness of, you know, everything, especially this little breakout section. Now, while we are going to be mostly scrutinizing the roof section, we'll also scrutinize this area, which is normally a kill zone for the game and whatnot. Yeah, you got these little sections right here. But before we do, let's go over this little section of the roof. So if we go back to where the hole in the roof is, you can see these like blast marks and whatnot to indicate how this was blown up, but I'm not sure where the blast marks would have come from, you know, from just this particular angle. Was there like a bombardment or something? But there's nothing of that in like anywhere else on this map. So it's just a little bit peculiar that they chose blast marks to indicate that. Second of note is, you know, we have these little mini floors that you can kind of shuffle your way around. Now, obviously, this is for gameplay purposes, but why would there be here built into a floor like here? You know, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, usually these are used for, like, you know, like, for example, if we go over here, like, this little shutter here makes a lot more sense, because obviously, you know, rain, debris is going to fall down and, you know, fall out, so it doesn't clutter up. But when you have it just like this, it's going to clutter up real bad over time. Like whatever, you know, comes from rainfall and whatnot. Even if, you know, in this universe, there's probably not a lot of rain because of drought. Because of the Combine's irrigation programs. Okay, so I think one more thing I want to go over before or a few more things we want to go over before I go and analyze this section of the road. So you have these little chimney pots up here. Now, they just seem to be just put in a random assortment, because you have a whole bunch of here just kind of grouped up together like this, and then you just have these ones and these ones just jutting out from the linoleum roofing. You can even see that just blatantly just clipping in like that. So it's just supposed to give you kind of the sense of it being like, you know, like chimney roofs and whatnot, but yeah. So, with that, let's go back to the road. Now, some of this road is not particularly well rendered, because obviously you're not supposed to even go back here. But this little road in this Combine 8BC kind of matches up with the Combine 8BC and the road that we saw in D1 Train Station 02, especially with the alleyway where the Combine are holding up those civilians. And that will factor into another section of the first map that I covered after we cover the next chapter of the game. So, going on, I'm probably going to have to enable no clip, because there's like this weird bounding box, yeah, like right here. So there's this substation here that is guarded by a fence on this side, but yet if you just run across here, you can just kind of step in. And I've gone and taken a bunch of power substations and seen a bunch of power substations. They basically make it impossible for you or like any like person or animal to get in, because obviously this is very delicate materials and whatnot, and they don't want, you know, they don't want the substation to short circuit. So yeah, it's just a little bit peculiar that they had the mind to put fences here, but didn't think that somebody could just accidentally trip into the substation. Going on, so we have, yeah, that's right, I have to keep enabling no clip, except for here for some reason. So we have this kind of a roadway into what's like a loading dock, and it seems wide enough that cars could be driven here. And I mean, you have vehicles here to imply that's the case, but there's no, you know, there's no like dashes, there's no lines to indicate this is like a drivable like roadway. It's almost treated like as if this is just a really wide sidewalk, especially if, like, you know, if you have loading bays like that, you would normally have trucks, like semi-trucks, with trailers and whatnot on them. So going back up to the roof section, again, we have more of this little section here that you have to shuffle along. Again, doesn't make a whole lot of sense when this is like in the midway of another floor. You know, we have the APC driving around with the... Wait, what? Is that supposed to do that? Okay, that must be a mistake. In fact, I'm pretty sure that is supposed to be that AP... Okay, I don't know. I got really distracted by that. But yeah, like, it doesn't make any sense for this to be here, to shuffle along, if there's a floor here. Oh, shit. But this little shutter would actually make sense in terms of the design of this roof. And then we got, you know, pigeons and whatnot over here. Again, this whole like little mini floor you can shuffle along just continues through here. Then we have this weird vent that is just jutting out like 4 feet up here. I don't understand why this would be jutting out like this, just like partially above what like the floor of this roof would be. And I don't even necessarily see a gameplay reason for it, like, other than like maybe like if a combine was here shooting at me, if I didn't have no target on, I could use this as a cover. But the thing is you basically have infinite health on this whole section, so I don't know, this doesn't really factor in. And then before we jump into the window here, we have this bridge that has a roadway that's obviously not rendered on this side, but also is being cut off by this weird combine barrier, which is a little bit odd because it's also blocking this roadway here. Now I would assume that this was here to block this road, but not necessarily taking into account this overpass. And honestly, just like thinking of like how this road would tie into this road down below just doesn't really add up, as well as this weird like industrial shutter hallway thing. I mean, I have seen those. Like, I've gone to the Oregon paper mill, and they have like these weird like hallways that like hallway bridges, as it were, to cross in from building to building. So now that we got basically all that covered, I don't think there's anything else I'm missing. We can jump in here. Now keep in mind, for some reason when I was doing this, oh, it's not doing it this time. So when I was going through and scrutinizing this, there was I was having problems with the LOD, like it wouldn't load this area when I went into this room. So it's just a little bit odd to me that it wasn't showing up like that. So anyway, so we have this weird, like, I don't know, storage floor or something like that. So we go down here, the stair breaks, then the combine breaking through the doors, and they'll knock us out. We'll just let this run its course. I'm not sure why that that stuttered a little bit for some reason. Okay, don't think I need to re-enable no target because there's not going to be any other combine coming through here. So before we go into the elevator with Alyx, I find it a little bit peculiar that this elevator is like so designed such a way, even though the top floor just seems to lead to this weird like office space with an upstairs like storage closet, and then going through this door is just another basically empty room. So we'll go into the elevator and trigger that sequence. And, you know, she'll say what she normally says. Again, nothing about this shaft in of itself is necessarily problematic. Maybe a little bit over-designed, if I'm being honest. Like, all this weird piping and shit. This I don't know, metallic beam, I guess, to have some structural integrity. Anyhow, so, I guess this would be the bottommost floor of this building. The only way in is through this barred door, and obviously it doesn't lead to anything. And this area is supposed to be secret. So the question becomes, you know, was this here originally? And Alyx and her crew, like, designed this thing, this secret compartment, to hide the fact that this hallway is here? Or did they just basically completely, like, architecturally carve out a hallway and everything else that follows from that section before this? Because it doesn't really add up why this, you know, this elevator shaft would have, like, this much space, real estate, and budget for such, you know, small accommodations. And that will be basically the last of D1_ train station 04. And that was that for what is the last map for the point insertion chapter. When I do pick up the series again, I will deviate a bit and cover a map from a different series of games, but still in the vein of Valve relevant products. But until then, I hope these little videos sufficed.